I think maybe like 20 or 30 minutes later, apparently, like all the dance community showed up, and then you like drummed for everybody in a big like I don't know. It sounded to be like a huge huge event. I don't know.
The place was packed.
I remember
Yeah.
that. Yeah, it was hard to get
Yeah.
a spot.
Right. Yeah, exclusive. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a reflection of your energy. People would flock to you.
Well, they hear the drum for a ways.
Yeah, it
So
helps.
it's like people come and say, "Oh, I heard this sound and I just had to follow it all the way."
Mm, it's magical.
I think her name was Catherine, and she was playing one of the drums but didn't have a beater. But she played with her hand like for an hour. Yeah, she did worked really great. Yeah.
I do. Was that the same time that it was raining and a lot of the drums got wet, or was that a different story?
That's previous spring. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah. That makes it difficult.
Yeah. That was an interesting experience.
Someone told me I've only been to Shikori twice because I'm even though I grew up here, I didn't go, until was it the spring or the spring of last year.
Yeah.
But someone told me that Shikori often there is at least one day of rain. But we got quite lucky last
The fall.
in the fall where it was where it was pretty dry. It was really nice weather.
Mhm.
But yeah.
Shikori has been notorious for raining,
Yeah.
but I don't know, some years ago they moved from end of April to the beginning of May, and a lot less rain.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what they say? April showers bring May flowers.
Well, we like flowers.
I like flowers. Flowers are good.
That is true.
Yeah, that last year it rained so hard, and like the roof of the tent like caved in and just dropped like a ton of water like right on the drum.
Oh.
It was so it was crazy. And then the next day we were all like laying them out in the sun and trying to dry them.
Yeah, that was the same at the tea tent as
Yeah.
well, because that was the first time that we actually had like a proper structure, I think, for the wooden slats.
There's a someone built a platform
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
out there, and then that's just a platform, so they set up a tent on there or
Right,
something.
right.
Canopy.
It was
Yeah.
maybe not tied down perfectly, and it was water, pooling in on the sides. And I just remember it was kind of like this it felt like a film or some drama where like all of us were like banding together, and like some people were were like in their tents, and then they just heard that he did the call to action, and I remember one of our friends, Jason, just sprinted over and had like a pole something, and just like pushing it up.
Yeah.
It was really like heroic, yeah. But
Heroic.
yeah,
Shikori is like a I don't know. We go back into like the mythology of like I don't know like early humanity.
yeah,
We're just kind of like we're all living out a play kind of.
it's true, and especially with some of those names like Middle Earth,
Yeah.
and like there's definitely
Yeah, that's the camp kind of in the middle,
yeah,
because it's a camping festival.
right,
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's big. It's 27 acres.
yeah, it's a unique space. I can't think of many festivals that are both family friendly and also have that kind of hypeness of the music and kind of, but it all. I don't know that it's necessarily coined as like a conscious festival, quote unquote, but it feels like a lot of the people drawn to it are spiritual seekers of some kind or another, and sort of find community and connection.
Earth people.
People of the earth.
Pagans.
It's a very
Pagan.
very magical place.
Yeah, I remember one evening when we were having a talk about meditation or some philosophy, and there was just sort of like these little fairy lights around, and it seemed like it was kind of misty as well, and you sort of retreated into the night, and it just felt like this magical kind of like
Retreated into the
of
night.
Louis just sort of disappearing in the mist and the
That's
lights.
cool.
And, yeah.
Yeah, no,
Sounds
you're,
lovely.
yeah. People become more like You're talking about like people being spiritual in like normal life. I feel like at Shikori people become more like spirits
Mm.
So they're just being spiritual, you know,
That's a
like
good
literally
point.
spiritual.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very cool place.
Yeah.
4 days.
4
4
days.
days.
In 4 days.
Oh, that would be nice. Well, soon we'll be in 4 days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
4
It does
months.
come up quickly.
Mhm.
Like we are the T-Tent team that I'm lucky to be a part of, and maybe Catherine will be joining us. They start to kind of prepare and get the team together a few months beforehand, and right now folks were just making some new mugs, some tea mugs. One of our cohort has like a studio, a clay studio, and kiln and everything, and one of, I think it's Kaz, one of the
Cause, I know
community
Cause,
members,
yeah.
is like a professional ceramicist. I'm not sure what the name is.
Ceramicist.
Potter.
Okay.
one of many talents, and just whipped out a bunch of beautiful mugs, because we have a lot of very playful designs that are a little harder to drink out of, but they're more artistic than functional, which is great, and people love them.
Mhm.
And now we'll have even more mugs for folks. So it's nice to be a part of a community within the bigger one.
Mm.
Community within a community within a community.
Yeah, lots of sweet little pockets in that community.
So you guys are not working today because of the holiday.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Hiccups. Hey Hiccups.
Hi, Hiccups.
Reminded me a few days ago, is Kat and Ben gonna be there? I'm like, oh shoot, I better message them to make sure.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, because it was a while ago we made this, and I didn't write it down and didn't set my alarm, and so I forget. But yeah, so good to have you in the studio.
Yeah, I kind of like the lack of heat, because it kind of, it makes me like more aware of my body
Wake
and
up.
the space, and it feels like there's an intention of like keeping warm. So it's not taking anything for granted. It's nice.
Mhm.
Yeah. I think we tried to come like a month ago, but it was just like way too cold.
Hmm.
I think that's when you're like, yeah, I'm not coming in. It's gonna be like 20 degrees.
Mhm. It's a few degrees warmer today.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully the sun will get trapped in when it
Yeah.
comes up. Yeah.
Comes in this window right here and a little bit, or no? I don't know. That's in the summer. Well, we're getting a new building.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. It'd be perfect if we had I was just thinking if we had we have a radiator, but if it was hotter, it'd feel like we were like sitting around a campfire in the cold.
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
Now it just feels like we're just sitting around in the cold.
Should I put on a little campfire on the
Oh, yeah.
on the screen here?
Like a Yule log.
Yeah, a Yule log so we can look at it and our body will respond and warm up.
Mm.
When are they moving spaces?
Huh?
When are they moving spaces?
I was supposed to be helping them last month move, but it's a little delayed, I guess. Not sure.
Mm.
Soon. End of November, they were hoping to start moving over to the place, but it's a big construction site, so
Oh.
there's always delays.
Is it still in Carborough?
Yeah, it's right around the corner.
Oh, okay. I think I know.
That
There's
big
one
concrete
site
structure by that coffee shop
Okay.
on the
yeah.
corner.
I didn't know if that was apartments or like offices or a combination.
Might be both. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Glad that it's sort of finishing up.
Yeah.
Yeah. To me, it's always crazy when it's like it feels like it takes so long. You're seeing the construction and it doesn't look like a lot's happening, and then all of a sudden, in a very short span of time, like the facade comes up and it just kind of feels like the last stretch happens really quickly. There's like a lot of apartments and
Mhm.
I don't know if you call it high rises, but multi-use, buildings coming up in Chapel Hill as well, and it's weird to see, towns changing over time.
Mm-hmm.
with buildings. and
I
stuff.
remember there used to be a big field right here.
Oh yeah.
What?
Well, I mean, then there's apartment buildings,
Right.
or tract homes, or it's same everywhere where I'm at. They're popping up everywhere.
Mm.
Tract homes, yeah.
When did you move to this area?
95.
Oh
Mm.
wow.
19.
Not 18?
19. 1995.
Not 2025. Yeah. See, you've seen things change over
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, it's been pretty cool. Like it here. What's been going on in your world? Kitty
Mm,
cats?
I'm good. I'm good. It's been really cold.
Bonnie Ember still has like a runny eye.
Oh, some baby.
I don't know. She's always kind of had that.
I know she probably has a feline herpes. It's super common.
A what?
Feline herpes virus.
Mm.
It's like I think like 80% of cats have it,
Oh,
and
yeah.
they just get like kind of those weepy eyes, and sometimes they'll be like sneezy.
Mm-hmm.
And it just will like flare up with like seasons or stress, and they just have it their
It's
whole
not
life.
contagious, right?
No.
Not to you, at least.
Yeah.
Yeah. And not to my 13-year-old cat.
Yeah, no. She might have it already anyway. A lot of
Mhm.
times they have it and they're just like asymptomatic.
Mm. Cats.
Cats. They're the best.
They're everywhere.
They're everywhere. They are. I wanted to ask what area you started out in when you moved here in 95.
Southern Pines.
Mm. And you were still doing carpenter stuff then?
I'm actually doing a staircase remodel right now with Michael Wolf
Oh, wow.
is helping me, yeah.
At Midway?
No, it's a paid job
Mm.
for a
Yeah.
homeowner. Yeah, so I'm
Sweet.
gonna make some money and pay Wolf and then buy a lumber sawmill. So the trees that I've cut, I can roll over to the sawmill or drag them over and push them up onto a long sort of like table carriage, and then it's a bandsaw blade that goes around on some big wheels, and it's a structure about this big, and it's on the rails, and you just pull it right along. It's on wheels, and there's a metal track, and the logs are just sitting on there, and you move the bandsaw blade and right across, and it's like $4,200. It'll do a big tree like 32 inches wide,
Mm.
and I got some that big. So this job's gonna pay for that.
What?
And y'all come on over and have some fun cutting trees, making lumber
Yeah.
for building, yeah.
Yeah.
That's so
Sounds
cool.
cool.
I don't think I've ever seen that process. It's creating like slats, like
Yeah, like 1x10s or 12s or 2x4s or
Mm.
4x4s or
Wow.
any dimension,
That's
Mm.
cool.
really. Yeah, but mostly slats, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. You and Wolf have been doing a lot over there lately. I've
Wolf's
seen.
been working like crazy. He's got the
Yeah.
siding all on and running the electrical for lights and switches. And the floor's all done. The walls are all framed in.
Wow.
Yeah, I've got insulation that's gonna go in next.
Mm.
Hot wood burning stove. Yeah, he's been working like crazy over there.
That'd be cool.
Not
Wood
me.
stove, yeah.
I've been
Yeah.
hibernating. I come out of our room and say, "Good job, Wolf," and go back in my room and hibernate in the heat with the kitties.
Yep. That's the way to do it.
Mhm.
Are these just skills that he's had for a while, or is he sort of learning? it?
He's always been a carpenter, crafty,
Mm.
and his dad was very crafty, so he learned electrical and plumbing and
Mm.
carpentry, and yeah, he's great. Oh my gosh, he does so much work around there. He put all those gardens in.
Oh
Mhm.
wow.
He did all that.
Mm.
Yeah,
That's special.
built his little place
Yeah.
there, the wolf den.
Wolf Den.
Yeah, you should see it. It's he's kind of like, you know, we need something to do. We need a project, or we get too much in our head,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, we got to do something. And he and I were both like, be outside and building. We're both builders,
Mm-hmm.
so it just can't stop. You know, it's great.
Yeah, that's great that you have a space that, you know, you have this whole space that you can just do whatever.
I know,
with it.
right? It's so beautiful.
Yeah.
What else is going on? What's going on in your world, Louis?
I don't know. Bunch of stuff, but also nothing. So,
Mm-hmm.
A lot, and nothing all at once.
whole lot of nothing, or very very little of anything.
Mm.
Are you still on your own over there at your duplex?
Yeah, the
Cool.
landlord shows up every once in a while to do stuff with the internet or
Mhm.
fix something. I don't know. Really like in his unit. I think eventually someone's gonna move in, but yeah, right now it's a very nice oasis.
Mm-hmm.
Is it a 2-bedroom?
I mean, it's a duplex, so it's like basically like two houses with like a shared wall.
Gotcha. And you said there's a little garden out back, right? Or you're sort of.
Yeah, yeah. It's I guess it's kind of a garden. It's just like a courtyard area with like some like flowers and stuff in the summer.
Oh,
But it looks kind of sad now because all the flowers and everything are dead. So it's kind of just I don't know. It's still nice having like a little outdoor area to hang out, look at the sun, sky and stuff.
Privacy fence all around the backyard.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. It's a nice place.
we still have to make it over. Have you seen it?
I have not. I've been
Okay.
really wanting to.
Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, I haven't invited anybody over.
Oh wow.
Are we gonna be the first
secret
ones?
secret
Yeah,
layer.
the honor.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Whoa. What an honor.
Mhm.
Yeah. When this is the place that Eric was living in.
It is, yeah.
Could you feel the energy when you moved in of that Eric had sort of infused in the space?
Yeah. It's hard to say. I definitely I've lived there for a few months now. Over the months, I have noticed every once in a while a little like what do you call it, like a artifact. Like artifact is the word of like just like a behavior of Eric or like something that he probably did that I start doing or like thinking a certain way. It's very hard to tell though, like how much of it is just a projection or not. But
Yeah.
So you're standing in the kitchen preparing something, and you feel like Eric has done that.
yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Part of it with the landlord feeling like and like picking up on Eric's unhealthy feelings. I don't want to talk about
Love
that
you,
too much.
Eric.
Love you, Eric. Yeah. He's just
You're
very
not
nice.
here, so we can poke fun a little bit.
Yeah. Everybody's kind to their friends, but not always to their landlords.
Landlord.
Yeah,
It's a strange concept.
Yeah, the landlord. So
It feels fitting
Beautiful.
to what the job is.
yeah.
Like what's the term? It's I don't know if feudal is the
yeah.
Feudalism.
feudalism. It's like it also reminds me. I was watching Doctor Who the other day, which is have you seen that show?
Not for a while.
Okay.
But yeah.
It's such a beautiful thing actually for my family because my dad grew up in England in the 60s and watched the show when it came out, and it was such a big deal at the time because they didn't really have like sci-fi kids shows, and so all of the kids were watching it, and some of the parents too. It seemed like they weren't as big of fans. But he got really into it over the years, and then it kind of continued on through his education. And then my sister and I, when we were born, or when we were about the same age that he was when he was watching it, they rebooted it.
Uh-huh.
Like it had been off the air for a while.
There's a new version.
A new version. I think it was like early 2000s. And he was so excited to show us this show because it meant a lot to hit him growing up, and we both fell in love with it as well. So we would watch it as a family, which was really cool. But I only just brought that up because they travel in time and space, and so they'll go back in different time periods and places. And there was just one episode where they were, I think it was like King James they were hanging out with in England, and just like this concept of like families that just owned like whole towns or
feudal lords.
Yeah, just
they
so
own
much
you and your
land.
goats and your land
Right.
and your kids and
Right, and it feels like that's still kind of in play to some extent. But
you don't own me.
But this piece
Oh,
of paper
I do.
says, yeah.
yeah, property.
Yeah.
Mhm.
How do you own land? That's just the earth.
Mm.
Boundaries, borders.
Yeah, it's all made up.
Get off my property.
Yeah,
Mhm.
control.
I'm gonna call the police because you want to steal my stuff. You get off my property, and I can shoot you and kill you if you're trying to rob me because there's boundaries,
Mhm.
right? Boundaries are very important.
Yeah.
And yeah, you can't own land, and that's all a strange concept. But there's people out there that want to take our stuff
Mm.
that was hard earned. It's not. I mean, it's like, I'm sorry, you're having a hard time, but you can't take my stuff.
Mm.
This is my spot.
Mm.
Has that
I mean-
happened to you?
No.
Mm.
I haven't had people try to come on my property and, well,
just in the past lives. Yeah.
it's just a reality.
Yeah.
I mean, nature, there's boundaries.
Mm.
That's what wolves-
People are defending
that's what dogs are
their
saying when they
spot.
bark.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Mm.
Mhm.
Mm.
So that's what dogs are saying when they bark. Like, get off my
Yeah.
property.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a very
That's what-
natural instinct.
Mhm.
It is interesting because there's like those natural instincts, those natural ways of, how we have our communities and and the boundaries and the ways of knowing, the ways of teaching and learning, and like there's all these kind of natural ways that we've evolved in those ways, but then in so many of those kind of areas in the modern times, it feels like there's fractured kind of a fractured experience where it's like education, for example, has become such a specific like space where there's specific ways of teaching and based on like very specific kind of guidelines and principles, and then there's kind of like we talked about property and how and those sort of boundaries, and I think sometimes when I'm reflecting on these areas, I feel like, oh wow, a lot of this doesn't feel aligned energetically with like my heart, but at the same time, boundaries are so important and
Structures.
Mm-hmm.
There's something can't grow without a structure,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
or rooted in something.
Yeah.
Or vines can't vine if there's not already a structure in place.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, the structures are cultural and societal structures. In government. They're not that great a lot of times. But it's at least a structure. It's not chaos
Yeah.
and everybody running all over each other. There's rules and boundaries and structures, but then it's up to the individual, right, to find their own way through and connect back to their, find our own individual and how we relate to God and Source and others, and find out who we are. It's a strange thing. It's like, who am I? It's like,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah, I think.
You're you. I know, I feel lost. Find a structure that you like. Read some books.
Yeah, I think the key with keeping people kind of like on the same page, even though there's like structures and boundaries, is that I don't know, if like within whatever the structure is, they kind of like keep to like the truth or not truth, but like if the people within like an organization listen to their heart and like I don't know, listen to the earth, things like that, it kind of keeps everyone from being like too far outside of the I don't know what like the shared experience of people, you know. Kind of like having things be sectioned off to like have like a separate school system, separate finance system, whatever. But having it be like there's like a common understanding between everybody is, I think important. Yeah.
Common misunderstanding.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, sometimes there can be too much structure, I feel like, and then trying to fit yourself into a mold that doesn't feel right and isn't natural.
Here's the mold. Step out of line and you go to jail and we lock you up. So don't cross these lines. You know, be nice to people, don't take their stuff. You know, say hello, be polite. You want to get rowdy, go into the bar where those people hang out and be rowdy and beat each other up. You know, there's places to go for the type of expression we want. You know, if you're going to be out walking around, don't threaten people. Don't be threatening. Yeah, it's very oppressive, but we're neurotic, crazy critters, man.
Yeah.
Gotta be boundaries.
Yeah.
But it's oppressive, for sure.
Yeah, and I think more so just in the way of like society and trying to like, you know, you have to like, I was thinking specifically about being like a night owl, and it's really hard to like be in a society that's very much like starts in the morning and like everything's closed at night, and so you kind of have to like arrange your sleep schedule to fit that, even if it like feels very unnatural.
Fringe people, fringe groups, outside of the norm.
Well, that's one of the nice things in the modern day is that, look at the internet, the fringe, people that used to be on the fringe can kind of like find their group of people, you know.
Yeah.
I guess it may be less with like a sleep schedule, but at least with like interests and stuff. You know?
More in modern times these days.
Yeah. Because like the internet has connected everybody.
Oh, the internet, you said.
Yeah.
And it always comes with both, you know, like it can also amplify like hate and
Yeah.
you know, certain
There's a million problems that it causes
certain
too, but
values.
there's some good things there.
And also, connection that might have not otherwise been found, and shared experiences. And I'm thinking about folks I know with chronic illness that, you know, don't necessarily have folks who share the same experience in their immediate environment that might connect with folks across the world, that, you know, building community in that sense. And it's also just like can be such an like back to this concept of structure, it can be such an unstructured, unregulated space, the internet, and, you know, different social media and forums and
freedom of speech.
Right. The beauty
Which is
of freedom
great.
of speech and the kind of experience of like uncontained kind of like what is it like to communicate with someone when you're behind a wall versus face to face, and like how does that affect communication? And I don't know. Yeah, did you all notice any social changes like after we kind of returned from lockdown and re-entering face-to-face contact after
The
the
whole
pandemic?
COVID epidemic thing.
Yeah, did you notice any, either within yourself or witnessing in the outside, like social dynamics that seem to have shifted after that period?
Yeah, well, one easy one is like obvious one is some people liked the kind of like the privacy of wearing a mask, because I've definitely seen people sense that like they just kind of wear a mask because they want to hide their face, which I guess is what masks were originally for, but it's interesting. It kind of became like a normalized thing.
The mask.
Yeah.
I know a lot of things didn't necessarily like return to normal. Like a lot of jobs that like used to be in the office and then went working from home during the pandemic, like they were like, oh, this is actually fine. Like this actually works, and so they never really went back to the office, which like, you know, pros and cons, and different people had different feelings about it.
The internet,
Yeah.
working from home.
Yeah,
Mm.
it definitely like very drastically changed a lot of things.
The mask.
Mm.
The mask, yeah.
The
Yeah, we got
persona.
masks, but it was very interesting though when during that time you put on the mask, it's like, I'm free. It's like nobody sees me. It's
Yeah.
like I'm invisible. I can move around. I have confidence almost.
Mm.
You know, I don't know. It's very interesting, masks.
Yeah.
Mm.
Masquerade party.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's ironic because you gain it's like you gain confidence behind the mask, but then it makes you afraid to leave the mask or like take the mask off.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of a trade-off.
Kind of symbolic.
Yeah, definitely.
So,
Mm-hmm.
And also, you know, we were in classes at college during COVID,
Yeah.
and like so many, including myself, so many of us would have our screens off or our cameras off in class, you know, because it felt more comfortable to just like not feel like we're being seen, and like especially if we're in our home, and like, you know, if we have different ways of learning, if we want to move around a lot, you know, we don't want to be perceived. But then also like how that might affect the experience of feeling kind of separate from the space or from the community.
So it would be like talking to someone for a minute, maybe someone don't really know very well, and kind of start to feel comfortable and say, okay, I feel comfortable with you. I can take off my mask now. It's a
Yeah.
sign
Mm-hmm.
that I like you. Oh, he's dropping his mask. They must like each other.
Mm.
Turning his Zoom camera on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Zoom,
So,
Yeah.
the mask of Zoom.
Mask of
Mhm.
Zoom.
It did feel like there were certain spaces that, at least from my experience, like when it was pretty early days, but they had shut down, you know, a lot of different, you know, services or, you know, organizations or businesses are closed, but the essentials, you know, the grocery stores, you have to get in, you know, special line, and everyone would have masks, and there was this feeling of like the different like hierarchies of society kind of dissolving in a way. I know in many other ways during COVID there was clearly like this highlighting of those hierarchies of like the people who could just like be in their second home, you know, in Tahoe or like at the beach and be like working from home and perfectly fine on, you know, almost on vacation, while a lot of, you know, other folks were working like really intense hours and in their jobs. And so there's that, and then there's also this experience of like everyone being in the grocery store in this long line together, and like it's uncomfortable, and we all have to do it. There's
The
this,
poor folk.
there's this feeling of like, okay, like we're all on the same page here, and yeah.
Solidarity.
Mm-hmm.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's something that's I feel like is coming up a lot with like these, you know, big world events and also smaller local events like the hurricane and like the wildfires in California, is just realizing that like we, you know, we have to look out for each other. And a lot of like
Yeah,
mutual
that's
aid
what
and-
these natural disasters do, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Bring us together, and then we go back to our cave,
Yeah.
and then there's a natural disaster. And, oh, there's people out here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Need help.
And we're all going through the same thing.
That's nature.
Mm-hmm.
If
We
only
need that
could-
chaos, right?
If only we could group together for good things too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess we do with the festivals, but
Yeah.
a lot of bad things that people
Protesting.
get excited about. Yeah. Yeah. Mm. Protesting, that's not a good thing.
Mayhem, anarchy. Let's get together.
Yeah.
Mm.
Bring down the establishment.
Yeah.
That's an extreme.
Yeah, yeah.
It feels like it speaks to this bigger question of like, what does it take to break our illusions of how the world is, or our
Take the mask off.
our status
Yeah.
quo. Take it, those moments of a perspective shift. Sometimes, yeah, it's like an intense trauma, and sometimes it's a moment of joy, connection with someone that we might not have expected. How do we like make those more common and accessible? Not the bad, of course, but those moments of reflection and shift.
Mm-hmm.
Pain.
Meditation.
Meditation helps, yeah.
Meditation or pain.
Pain.
Yeah.
Meditating on pain.
I think
Chaos.
on some level, you have to get through the bad stuff to get to like the equivalent of good things, kind of.
Mm.
Like with I think it's psychedelics, but like meditation too. It's like there's some amount of difficulty you need to process first. And, like
Mhm.
maybe as a collective humanity, we have to go through some natural disasters to eventually get to those like awakenings that are pleasant. You know, of like, oh no, or yay, there's some new technology that we're all excited about. We can all go into the streets and celebrate something good instead of bad. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I think takes time and just accepting the bad things until they pass. You know?
Yeah.
Well, we do like parties, celebration, holidays, festivals, ritual. I mean, every month there's like national holidays.
Yeah.
I mean, we like to celebrate. And because celebration's like we go into a party, go into a friend's house. You know, because we get in our head and we get kind of sedentary and burdened with life and got to take care of our body and food and, you know, it's difficult to survive. So we want to shift out of that and have some fun. And, you know, we need to shake it up. We need not just the same old thing all the time, even though we have a house and we have clean water and we have clean air, respectively, of course. And, you know, we have a job and we are making money and all our needs are met. And we do have some friends but, you know, that gets boring. So we need something to snap us out of it. You know, say, oh gosh, life is great. Oh my gosh, look at all that I have. Because I do that. I fall into that. Oh God, the same thing every day. It's like, no way, man. Look, you're so blessed. Look at everything. Yeah. And we need those shift moments. And sometimes they're rough on us. And sometimes they're, you know, enlightening or pleasant or revelatory. Constantly, it's like a constant thing. Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth.
Yeah.
Trying to find that balance,
Yeah.
that perfect sweet spot.
The cycle of samsara.
Well, it's interesting you brought up that kind of back and forth of being in the day-to-day, the work, the, you know, whatever life brings in our responsibilities, and then having the holidays, you know, national holidays, the, you know, personal, let's say religious holidays or other, and then you know, parties and
Birthday parties,
and
anniversaries,
events like that.
weddings.
And it's interesting because I think a lot of people that I know would argue that a lot of those spaces can be kind of part of this fueled fire of like this cycle of numbness, if that makes sense, where it's like working so hard every day, feeling beaten down, going to party, getting drunk, being kind of, you know, numb in a way, and then kind of returning and repeating. And holidays can be very, you know, difficult times. for a
Oh
lot
yeah,
of
getting
people
together with the
and
family.
trying to kind of avoid discomfort, and, you know, some of that space that's supposed to be, you know, restorative, vacation time, can often be very, very much the opposite. And like, how do we, you know, allow ourselves or support one another in actually restoring, like, you know, these energies? And people who go on meditation retreats, I often
That's a good
feel
way.
like, yeah, I feel like
It's
they
a
come
getaway.
back and, yeah. But like Louis said, I think it's like getting away, but like through, you have to sit through the discomfort and what you're actually experiencing, as opposed to avoiding it through other means of distraction. And,
Mm-hmm.
not to say that, I think a lot of people are just doing what they feel like they need to do, to just be okay and just make it through. So there's nothing wrong with it, with how people express these needs. And at the same time, it feels like the society is kind of mirroring the values of with like the fact that the bar is like the go-to recreational place.
The pub.
Right. And then there's these kind of little like oases of tea lounges and spaces for meditation and connection. And, but yeah, we do what we can.
Well, what do you want? It's a big question.
What do we want?
But yeah, I think there's also, and I think a lot of it is about like how, kind of like your reason, not reason, but like your mentality about doing things, rather than like the things that you're actually doing. Because the kind of like the culture of like going to the bar to hang out with your friends is like, or like I guess going to the bar on like the surface level. I feel like at least what I imagined in the past was that like the kind of like the alcohol culture in like the earlier days was just like a fun, the kind of like a lounge, or like kind of probably had the vibe that the tea lounges and stuff have now. But I feel like these days people have kind of like the alcohol culture has like kind of deteriorated over time to being just like a numbing, people just getting drunk and that type of thing. Whereas it's not like the thing that people are doing hasn't really changed. They're just drinking alcoholic beverages, but the kind of like the spirituality behind it has kind of faded. It's moved on to like a new, like a different spirituality, or a different place for people to hang out and be
Comfortably numb.
yeah, or comfortable but not numb. It's like the, I feel like when people are doing things for the right reason, they don't get numb. They just, maybe
For
it's like
the-
relaxing, but it's not like
For the right reason.
Yeah.
With the right, are you talking about intention?
something like that. Yeah, even if it's like an unconscious intent, but like
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, I read something too the other day that I think like the newer generations are kind of moving away from alcohol, and it's becoming like less common.
That is really great.
Yeah, which is super interesting.
Well, mushrooms and,
Mhm.
cannabis are really coming in strong. So
Yeah.
that might be part of it. There's some other mood altering substance,
Of course, yeah, people
which
could-
we seem to need a lot of.
Yeah, people would replace alcohol with cannabis sometimes.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think there are like, at least mushrooms are like inherently less addictive and less
Mhm.
numbing. So I think it's an improvement. Yeah.
Yeah, because they can be like a super strong experience. It's like, ooh,
Mm-hmm.
I guess I won't need that for a little while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like alcohol does kind of tend to have like kind of a numbing, more of a numbing effect, whereas like psychedelics and like cannabis, are kind of what you took this like class the other month, and they talked about psychedelics as like non-specific amplifiers, which I thought was really interesting.
That's
Oh,
good.
that's an interesting term.
Yeah, the opposite of alcohol, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm. Non-specific amplifiers, like not really sure what you're gonna get.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The class was it's called the acronym was SIT, and it stood for Sitting and Integration Training, and it's sort of a form
Cool.
of peer support, particularly aimed at supporting individuals going through a psychedelic experience at a festival
Mm.
or integrating
Trip sitter.
Yeah, an informed, trained trip sitter, basically.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Or for people who are integrating a past experience or just
Mhm.
going through a lot.
Yeah, I don't need to have a substance to learn how to be present with people that are having some issues.
Yeah,
Yeah, we need lots of training for that, for sure.
yeah.
It's not all about me, what?
A lot of it, I think, has to do with what's being triggered internally,
Mm.
and like this is something that I'm really curious about as I have a goal of training in therapy and supporting people
Mhm.
going through all sorts of things. And like, it's so clear that wherever I am in the moment is obviously affects how I show up. And I had this parallel process of being aware of my body and my emotions and
Mhm.
experience while simultaneously being present with another person and their experience, and
Mhm.
bringing back
That's a tricky little maneuver there
yeah,
to learn how to do.
yeah.
Mhm.
I think it's so important for anyone, for any of us, period, but then also for,
Yeah.
for those of us with an intention of supporting our peers and clients and whatnot, is a process of ongoing personal healing journey, getting to know ourselves and all the parts of ourselves well.
Well, we tend to have we tend to be projectors.
Mhm.
It's like, well, here's my emotion, and it's just coming out. And so we learn how to say, oh, wait, let me reel that back in
Mhm.
and not throw that out into the room.
Mhm.
So the person that I'm with can feel safe
Yeah.
and feel their feelings and not feel mine.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's
I
great. I'm glad you're talking about this because it's a really important topic.
There's this exercise that I'm sure it's somewhere written out somewhere.
Yeah,
I'm not
for sure.
taking credit for it, but I was on the bus in San Francisco one day, and it was maybe one of the most chaotic like public transport experiences where everyone was there, like it was super crowded, and every person was kind of doing their own thing. Like there were people having loud conversation, people blasting music, kids laughing, crying. And I looked around, and I noticed there was a part of me that was like really kind of feeling that chaos inside, and I was feeling like really frustrated. Like, can't we all just like sit in peace together? But then I realized like I could actually sense that each person or each kind of space in that bus was like representing inside of me. It was representing a part of me. There was this part that was like,
Oh, cool.
that was very much like, there was a couple people there sitting just very calmly, and I was like, okay, that's one part of me that feels aligned there. And then there's another one that's like dancing, kind of just moving around a lot, and another that's talking loudly. And I was like, wow, I can, if I'm aware of these parts of myself, then I can actually learn how to interact with those parts in a calm, loving way for myself, and so that I can interact with others who might be triggering inside of me those parts. But I think that the problem is that when we're uncomfortable with certain parts of ourselves, and people that we interact with remind us of those parts, we can treat those people like we do ourselves, and try to push them away, or be reactive, and without even noticing, and we think it's like an external problem, like they're wrong or they're
Right.
bad.
Yeah, we're all mirrors for each other.
Yeah.
That we don't always. There's like it's like a mirror that changes how we look a bit, and we don't always like our reflection when we see it. And we have to learn to like our real reflection in order to actually like the other people around us.
If
Nothing
if
can
I'm
change that.
reacting and my buttons are getting pushed, that's the kind of like the wake up and say, now wait a minute. So would you say that's kind of like mindfulness? Might that be the term for being aware?
Aware of
Like if a mirror, like if I'm like reacting to somebody's behavior, that might be a behavior issue with me. Is that what you're kind of saying?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. I do think that there's a quote by I'm most of the quotes that I think of come from Ram Dass these days, but there's a quote about everything we see in the world can be a reflection or a projection from something internal, or that we've either experienced before, or that we hold inside. And And so if there's someone that we feel uncomfortable around or we're feeling, reactive towards, often, maybe not always, it feels like there's a call that's coming from inside that's like, that's this, maybe it's almost like either opposite sort of magnetic force or maybe it's sort of a polarity of like pushing against each other, but it's like, yeah, I'm feeling triggered in this part of me that is actually really hostile towards another part that is being mirrored
Out in the environment.
Right. I guess as an example, if there's a part of me that feels like it's sort of trapped in childhood and is kind of cranky or gets kind of moody, and I'm noticing that energy that someone else is bringing up, but I have another part of me that's like really aggressive, almost like a really disciplinarian parent toward that part that's like, just shut up and be quiet,
Just
it's
shut up
likely
and do
that-
it. Do what I tell you.
Yeah, I might feel that part come out and be like, feel that towards another person without even realizing.
Yeah, I think so many of our of anybody's like emotional problems are just that one time their parent yelled at them when they were like 3 years old, and they just held on to that one thing, and like when they, I don't know, whatever would trigger it, they just
Triggers,
like
yeah.
fall back into that memory of their parent being angry, and they like become the parent that's angry.
Yeah, somatic memory.
Yeah.
Somatic memory.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's a good term.
Yeah, but that's the power of like the psychedelics and meditation and stuff. Is that you like, we were talking about like they amplify everything. It like amplifies that part of you, so you can't ignore it as easily as you normally would.
And what do we do with that?
Who
That
knows,
part
yeah.
of us that when we see that, oh gosh, I'm being my parent,
Right.
that scares the heck out of me.
Yeah.
It's like, oh no, we have to sit with that. It's
Mm.
okay to
Yeah.
be uncomfortable.
You
We
gotta
wanna-
learn to do what they couldn't, and show yourself love, show them love or whatever.
And gentleness and
Ever loving
compassion.
kindness.
Yeah, compassion.
Thich Nhat Hanh, the great Buddhist
Ever loving.
You started a book,
Priest.
one of his books.
Yeah.
monk.
What was it called?
We started reading Being Peace.
Being Peace.
Cool. Being peace, being whole.
Yeah, you mentioned Thich Nhat Hanh. Yeah. One of the piece. What was that piece that he was talking about? Smiling.
Yeah, well, he talks a lot about smiling, and he talks about smiling being like just a gift to the world, and you're like and sharing this like positive energy, and how and I think he was telling the story about how he like there was this little boy that was like smiling and really joyful, and he like thanked him for being really joyful, and like it was kind of confused, and I think he was like you can say you're welcome, because you're doing a good thing by sharing that joy with the world.
Oh, the child was confused.
Yeah.
Like, why are you thanking me for,
Yeah.
what did I do?
Mm.
It's like, you're being joyful and
Yeah.
happy. That's a great thing. It's like, oh,
And sharing it.
yeah. Making, yeah, that's interesting. Showing, telling, acknowledging others' behaviors and that they're helpful for others.
Mm.
Yeah, keep doing that. Well, what am I doing? You're expressing yourself in a positive and smiling. That's very good for the people in society. Keep doing that. And now the kid becomes self-conscious and doesn't do it anymore. I mean, everything's a double-edged
Yeah.
sword, right?
It feels like it can be uncomfortable when we're noticing something positive that we really admire about someone else to vocalize it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's more or less uncomfortable if it's a stranger versus a friend. maybe more uncomfortable if it's a stranger. But I really
easier in
appreciate.
some ways.
Yeah, maybe it depends on like what it is.
I like your hat.
Right.
I like
Yeah.
your shirt.
Right.
I mean, it's an easy, comfortable way in
Yeah.
just to show some compliments.
Yeah, I noticed that. Noticed that with myself. The fear of not fear, but like an aversion to being like directly kind to people like that.
Mm.
And I think a lot of it is like worrying what people will think of you.
Mm.
Mhm.
Right.
And in some ways, a stranger, you're not as worried what they think because you think like, or they'll just keep walking down the street and not think about you again. But I don't know. There's some, I don't know if it's like a cultural conditioning or like some conditioning somewhere that yeah, it's scary to be like just like compliment somebody
To be
you're worried.
noticed.
Yeah. Part of it is not wanting to be noticed, not wanting people to think about you.
Because then I need to engage, and then we need to talk.
Or it also means like there's like opinions being made. Did they
Mhm.
have a good opinion about me? That type of thing.
Mm, being perceived.
Yeah. Mhm. Yeah, that's
Where's
good.
my mask?
Yep,
Yeah.
yep. Just want to hide.
Gosh, I wish COVID never ended. I
I
could hide so
heard
good.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But even there's another interesting example where it's like you have an acquaintance, someone that you've just met, and whether you feel like you're becoming closer friends or it's just kind of in that acquaintance space indefinitely. You might feel uncomfortable, like reflecting to someone how you feel about them, or especially even if it's positive. If you feel like, wow, I really feel like your smile lightens up my world, or I really feel like you have such a beautiful energy, or whatever it is. It can feel like, oh, I don't want to come on too strong, or I don't want, like, if they don't feel the same about me, or they don't feel like you don't want to like show your cards.
Yeah, something very vulnerable about. It seems so funny that like why does it need to be a vulnerable thing to be nice to somebody? But it is, yeah.
It might be we're afraid of making them feel vulnerable if we're.
Yeah.
I've had times where I compliment someone and then they're like, "Oh, you're perceiving me,"
Yeah.
and then they're the one that feels wrong.
Have a drink. It'll take all that away.
Yeah.
Are you? I can't tell if you're a representative for the bar now.
Well, the pub has always been a place from forever, a place to go and get away from your troubles and talk with others about your troubles, and then move out of that into, well, what do you want to do? I mean, what's your idea? Or laugh and just drop all that. And alcohol is a drink, an ounce can lighten it up, but it's the overuse is
Yeah.
the problem.
Well, I think the thing that it's doing is allowing people to kind of like separate from themselves
Mm-hmm.
and like have an excuse to be different.
Mm.
That like someone at the pub, it's like they have a couple beers and they start being really friendly to everybody, but then they go and like outside of the pub, they can say, "Oh, I'm not drunk anymore. I have to be all serious."
Mm.
But it's like having that ability to separate is the I don't know, one of the things that it does. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like quickly, without any effort, like meditation and mindful practices
Mhm.
and breath work. I mean, it takes some practice,
Mm.
Mhm.
but we can take one little pill or one little sip and we,
Right.
some of the tension
And you
comes
get-
off.
You get 100 side effects afterwards. But
Yeah.
people don't talk. Don't worry about that.
Yeah, it's tough because sometimes we do need. It does feel like we need immediate relief or immediate. Sort of
Well, we do.
intervention.
We're in pain.
Yeah.
This life is painful emotionally.
Yeah.
There's lots of rules and regulations and stresses and societies and what you should do and what you shouldn't do. And it's like, God, can I get a break? Here, just have a sip of this or have a little bite of this, and it'll take some of the pain off.
Yeah.
It's painful. This body is painful
Mhm.
in so many ways.
Yeah.
So many ways.
Yeah, it reminded me of the one of the important lessons in Buddhism is to not make decisions while you're in pain.
Wow, yeah.
Because if you decide things while you're in pain, you'll always be like living down that decision you made,
Mm-hmm.
and it has pain attached.
Oh,
to
I
it.
was drunk. I didn't mean it.
Mhm.
Well,
We've heard that before.
But before you get drunk, you're like, "Oh, I'm in so much pain. Time to get drunk,"
Mm.
and then you just keep getting drunk over and over because the pain's always behind it.
Pain is
And
a
imagine, like,
motivator.
so many countries make decisions out of pain.
Right.
Yeah.
It's all over the place.
Border disputes. Get off my land. Hey, let's just go to the pub. Let's talk about it.
Mm.
We'll fight or we'll get over it.
Or both.
Humans, we are such strange creatures. We have all these neuroses.
Mhm.
Should I? Shouldn't I? Should I say something? Should I not? I want to, but what will they think? And round and round we go, spinning in our little head.
Mm.
And it's painful. And we just need a little something.
I don't know.
Or a lot of something
See, you seem
sometimes.
very, very sure about that. I don't know. I don't know if I agree.
It could be meditation.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to be a substance.
It's true.
We don't really need anything. We just think we do.
How so?
I mean, what is there to get? Where are we all headed?
Yeah.
Where we death,
Sure.
pain, suffering, hate, greed, lust.
So that looks from where you're standing.
Evil.
I don't know.
But then there's the opposite too.
Yeah.
Mhm.
We're heading that way as well.
Sure.
Everything we need is already within us.
Mhm.
Ooh,
Say more about
that's
There we go.
uncomforting.
Oh man.
So stop yourself.
I came upon on a Tara Brach meditation that we listened to last night, and it was about. I was like kind of falling asleep, so I like only vaguely remember. But it was about struggling with or it was looking at the wanting self. So that's something I've been kind of struggling with a little bit lately. Is attachment and this part of myself that's just very wanting and attached to a certain outcome or a certain idea. And it was about it. I wish I remembered exactly, but it was about thinking what is behind that. What feelings is it? A need for security or safety or love, and then realizing that you already have those things within you. You don't need this certain outcome or thing.
I'm just hangry.
Hmm.
Yeah, what's behind that?
Yeah.
Did I hear you right? Is
Yeah.
that, yeah?
Yeah. What's behind that, and then realizing that all of those things are already within you.
What things? Like
The love
sec-
and the
security and
safety
comfort
and
and
comfort. Yeah.
appreciation for what we have.
Mhm.
Yeah,
It's a big
we,
problem.
Yeah, we see all the problems and things that we see in the world around us are just things that it's we're seeing things and then we decide that they're problems.
Mhm.
And so if we want the peace of mind and everything, we can just see the things around us and see that they're peaceful, or see that they're solutions instead of problems. There's no the change never comes from outside. It's just always from inside. Yeah.
And if we want to change something, the change comes from inside, not
Mhm.
from outside. Break that down.
I don't know.
Is there something that
Oh, it's pretty
we
sad.
need to change?
Yeah. Well, it's it's you things around you are always changing, and they what's
Yeah.
yeah, that's too big of an idea to break down.
Well, nature's always changing,
Mhm.
for sure.
Mhm.
And our body's always changing. Change is the only constant.
Yeah.
Well, there's the term right view and right action.
Something
Oh,
you-
the eightfold path.
Yeah, because I know some people say that there is nothing to be done.
Mhm.
Everything is inside, and then there's also this idea that our bodies
Our bodies.
tell us
Mhm.
when there is something needing to be done.
Lots of needs.
Whether it's my hand's in the fire,
Hmm.
I'm feeling the signals of my hands burning. Pull the hand out of the fire because it's not right right action or in the Buddhist kind of context to keep
Yeah.
it in
Right.
in that sense. And so how do we listen better so we can know when we're doing something quote unquote the right way, responding to the messages from that place as opposed to trying to fix something and kind of acting out of just the mental kind of guessing.
Yeah, like whether or not to react to things. Yeah. Well, I think unfortunately the answer is that there is no answer, right? Like there's no rule for it. You always have to kind of decide in the moment. But,
Right and wrong.
mhm.
That's something we have to kind of grapple with,
Mhm.
right? Constantly.
Yeah.
That's the should I or shouldn't I or will I or won't I?
Mhm.
You know, is it good or bad or what, you know,
Yeah, but I think they're
right and wrong and
yeah. I think like if you take like the average of everything that happens, there is kind of like there is some equilibrium where it's like I don't know, yeah, like if your hand is in a fire, like your body is being injured, you need to do something about that. But if you feel like you have your ego and your ego is getting injured, maybe there's some extent where you should protect yourself, but some extent where you just let people be mean to you or let people, I don't know, pass you when you're driving down the road. It's like there's some boundary where
Criticize.
you allow, like you kind of just like see I'm making this painful and it isn't actually painful, versus things that are like, oh, this is dangerous to my like physical being. It actually is something to react with fear.
duality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have a lot of like protective mechanisms for
Mhm.
things like that, and things that feel painful.
Mhm.
Nature, nurture, spirituality. What would Ram Dass say about this?
Be here now.
Be here now.
That's all I know.
Compassion.
Mhm. It's hard to talk when I'm like shivering from the cold.
I
Yeah.
know.
Makes me feel like I'm
I
like.
feel like I have to do some like jumping jacks.
I don't know why you don't dress warm.
Yeah.
It's like you're
Your
trying to
feet still
prove
warm?
something to your body or something.
Yeah.
Like, I could take it. It's like,
Yeah. It's hard to
no,
find.
I can't.
It's hard to find that balance of
Just put on a big ass coat.
right.
How are
Won't
your
hurt
feet
you.
doing?
It's okay to
My
be
feet are fine,
warm.
yeah.
It's okay to be comfortable.
It's okay to be comfortable, yes.
It's okay.
I don't believe it.
No, you don't, apparently. You got like a strapless coat on.
Is it your ego being hurt or is it your body being hurt by the
Right.
cold?
Yeah, I don't know. My ego feels fine, but my body doesn't with me.
Oh, well maybe it's time to.
Kind of.
I'll show you, body. It's asceticism.
Asceticism, yeah.
Who talks about
Like
like,
asceticism.
like the mind and the body as the metaphor of like the horse and the rider? Was that Thich Nhat Hanh that we were reading from? I'm sure it's in a lot of different places, but
Could be.
Doesn't it sound familiar?
oh.
That was really.
Yeah, it
I
might
know
be,
where it's
it might
from.
be like a very common thing to some tradition, but yeah, when I heard that, it just kind of clicked. It was like, yeah, the human riding the horse really does feel like my mind, with my body, and there's this dynamic where if you're not listening to the horse and you're just kind of like, what's the term, whipping it, and telling it what to do. Oh, I want to do this, I want to do that, or mind or ego, I guess. Then it might eventually kind of just give up and just do what you say, but it's
Yeah,
not
throw you off of it.
right. It's not aligned and connected and synergistic. But as soon as you listen the other way, you're like, oh, what does the horse want to do? But not like we said earlier. If it's too unstructured and unboundaried, you might get thrown off because the horse wants to just jump around and play around. But if there's a sort of structure of listening with boundaries, then you can have this trusting relationship where you can move in the ways you need to move, but both parties are being treated with respect and dignity.
Learning each other's ways
Mm-hmm.
and working together instead of being one more dominant than the other, finding balance of the two natures.
Mm.
That's what it sounds like.
Yeah.
And I think also there's the idea of like training. There's like training versus like teaching. And I feel like I don't know, some people probably when they have a horse or something, they'll just like train it to be like very structured and very like, I don't know what, but like doing like the classic like classical conditioning, like Pavlov's dog type of thing. Versus
Oh,
just,
like with like with a very stern, strict, you'll do it this way and there's no other way? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, like very like logical.
Like, so that would be teaching? No.
The training.
That would be training.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like a very like low level training, because I feel like the teaching, I feel like it kind of requires a certain trust that like you trust that your horse will listen to you, or will I don't know what, like kind of trusting the horse to learn, or like in the case of, like the body and the mind, like trusting that your body will learn even if you aren't really structured about it. Which is yeah.
Respect. Sounds like you're giving the other person or some respect. Oh, you actually have a nature that's valuable. You
Mhm.
don't need to be whipped and beat down.
Yeah, I trust. I feel like trust and respect are very interrelated.
Mm.
We gotta break that horse. Gotta break him. Gotta break the spirit, right? That's what the cowboys, that's what I've heard, you know, you have to break the wildness. So, and that's, so riding a horse is you get on and you ride until the horse realizes that something
Yes.
realizes that I'm
That's
not.
the way they do it in hell, apparently.
Yeah.
Or you can work
But
with
there's a
them.
horse whisperers, just kind-hearted, you go right, you know, you're one. You get wild
Not
animals.
with horses.
You get hurt, well, you get hurt animals in your
Yeah.
clinic and you're gentle and soft and talking nicely and, right, that's the vibe.
Mhm.
So that's respect. That's kind of what I'm thinking is respect for the other person. And trust is you come in kindly, not with a stick, and work with the energy, work with the personality that's happening. That's the Taoist way, it's a Buddhist way, is you work with the situation and go with the flow of the moment instead of blocking and striking.
Yeah, like imposing your own will.
Yeah, working with animals is a very, very powerful lesson. And
But you've got to have boundaries sometimes.
Yeah.
You have to grab them sometimes,
Oh yeah.
strong, and push them down and say, this is for your own good.
Mhm.
You know, I'm trying to give you an injection here that's going to heal you.
Yeah.
You have to hold them down.
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
Or there are
But that
ways
happens to
where-
us too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes we have to hold ourselves down. Say, that's not the proper thought. It's self-denigrating. It's, I'm beating myself up. Think I'm worthless. Like, no, there's a boundary. I'm going to hold that down and say, no, you will not
There's a lot of
interrupt my good mood right now. You know,
There's
sometimes we have to do that.
There's irony about beating yourself up for the thought patterns when the thought patterns are about beating yourself up.
Yeah.
You know, just kinda doesn't seem like a solution.
It's not a solution. It's a
Yeah.
temporary boundary that is saying, no, there's a bad situation going on. I'm putting up a boundary. I will not be affected. And you will not be affected because you're with me. You know, to protect. Sometimes we've got to do that. You know, take a stand and say, no, I have a problem with that. My boundaries are still very permeable. For me to say no is a big deal.
Mhm.
I might hurt their feelings or, you know, like that. But sometimes you just gotta say no. Most of the time it's, you know, we're working with the situation to find a common ground and have respect for everybody as best as possible. And
Yeah.
that's the best way.
while also having respect for yourself.
And sometimes it's a no.
Yeah.
No, I will not think that. I'll deal with that later, but right now, no.
Mm.
And I say that because, again, I'm still learning that myself. I have intrusive thoughts. I still have memories. I have ghosts, and they're still bother me. And sometimes I have to say, no, not now. Later.
Yeah.
We'll talk later.
Yeah. I thought about it. They talk a lot in Buddhism about really, I feel that's one of the popular things people talk about is like that there is no self. Like Buddhism says, like there's no self or whatever. And I think really the interesting ways to understand it is that like there's like we each have like our own body, and like our body is like our self, or like it is like a permanent thing in this world. So there's like some things which are kind of like the reason I'm reading this is like the idea that yourself like should do this thing or should not do this thing. And I feel like our bodies, it is, at least by my view, it's like correct to say like my body should do this thing and shouldn't do this thing. Like I should go to sleep at night and I shouldn't take things that are poisonous. But the mind isn't, I think it's really what Buddhism is saying with the not self, is that the mind isn't locked in that way, where it's like our body is always going to be a physical body, but our mind has like everything within it, like even things that aren't really physical. And so if you kind of limit yourself to thinking like I will do these actions and not do these other actions, but then you also say I'll have these thoughts and not these thoughts, like the other thoughts, I think it's not as necessary to have that type of limitation, where it's like you can allow yourself to have like whatever thoughts you have,
Right.
and kind of not attach them and say that like I'm thinking this, or like I'm choosing to have this in my mind. It's more just like some things will just come and go. It might pass through and be terrifying or disgusting.
Mm-hmm.
But if you kind of let that come and go, you realize that it's not like the thoughts are never going to like attach to you in the same way that like a physical injury would attach to you, you know?
So you're talking about kind of a standard meditation practice of letting thoughts go and not attaching to them like a cloud across the sky?
Well, not just meditation, but just a way of like being a human, you know? Like a way of understanding the way you work. I don't know.
Like on a internal...
Well, I'm kind of referencing what you're talking about. Like you say like you have a thought and you're just like, no, I'm not going to have this thought. No way. Setting a boundary.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you have to do that sometimes, but at the end of the day, you can't really stop your mind from doing something because your mind isn't yours. Like your body might be yours. Like if your body's about to jump off a cliff, you can stop it. But if your mind is about to launch itself into a terrifying thought, you can try to stop it, but you can't always really stop it.
Mm-mm.
And the real way to be like free from the pain is to kind of just like let your mind go there and then see that it leaves right away.
So this sounds like a definite process.
That's how I'm saying it.
Is this like a Buddhist awareness process?
Just a way of doing things then.
That sounds like the respectful, trusting way, and not the heavy-handed, discipline way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is
It was like
interesting.
training the horse. It goes back to training the horse, yeah.
It's interesting in Buddhism, in different forms of Buddhism, because there's certain aspects of traditions that are very strict and disciplined. Like for instance, in Zen, sitting zazen, meditation, like a very specific posture and all these different kind of rules.
It's torture.
And yet, I imagine that there's still the noticing component, not necessarily trying to control the thoughts, but just noticing them arise and then noticing them pass.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting, like where is discipline necessary and important? And it seems like it speaks to what you just shared. Like you can have discipline in the body and set certain boundaries but then in the mind, it seems that the process is more of awareness and noticing, as opposed to imposing that discipline in the mind as well.
Yeah, but I think there's so many different approaches, right? Because you can, I think it is very important to discipline your mind and have it be like somewhat knowing the right way to go, but I think it's so much more complicated with the mind, because there's so it's there's so many more factors. There's so much more to it.
So many more, because
Yeah.
our body's like food, shelter, warmth,
Mhm.
and well, what else? I mean, for the very basics,
Mhm.
Connection.
for the body.
Yeah.
But then, well, I mean, we don't have to have sexual relations. We don't have to have that. But we have to get out of the cold, and we have to eat for the body too. So that's pretty basic. But with the mind, it's like, wow, there's a lot of hallways. There's a
Okay.
lot of,
Yeah.
way complicated.
Yeah.
And there's so little that we can actually control. There's a desire for control, for sure, in most things, most aspects of life. And I mean, it's just like animals. You can't really control animals. I mean, you mentioned like sometimes, you might have to like do something to them that they don't like, and
For their good, because they're
Yeah.
sick and
Yeah.
trying to help.
yeah. But a lot of times I've learned that trying to be more controlling with them is actually
Oh, to
like,
freak them out.
yeah, exactly.
Bad.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And trying to
Like a bucking horse.
Yeah, and trying to like give them treats and like distract them and like be gentle with them actually works so much better.
Treats and distractions and be gentle.
Mm-hmm.
Works with kids every time.
Yep. Yep.
Works with me.
Works with all of us.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Curious.
Mm.
We are curious. So what's the solution? Be here now.
Yeah, I know.
I have a theory that our bodies know the answer to the questions that are needing to be asked.
Mm.
It might not be clear. I have a lot of questions, and it feels like I don't have a lot of answers often. But in the times where I'm very present with my body, it feels like there's a knowing. And sometimes it feels like the questions my mind is asking are actually not as important as I think they are. I think the issue that I run into is if I'm not listening to my body, then if you kind of have a wall there right at your neck, it's like there can be a million questions that seem to have no answers.
Yeah.
But then as soon as there's this listening, there might be no questions, there might be one question, but then I think for me it's a process of continuously trying to let go and listen. And sometimes it comes from another person, like there's a moment of epiphany of like, wow, the way this person is carrying themselves just answered a question in that I was holding on to. But it's very ambiguous.
I was
Dance.
thinking you're saying like having like a boundary, you're like pointing to your neck and say like, like you're like just like being from the head up. But I was thinking the throat chakra. You were talking about like the having like different chakras open or closed. How like the throat chakra, you think having your throat closed means it's difficult for you to talk, but maybe it's actually that having your throat closed means your body can't talk to you. It's not actually you that needs to talk. It's your body that you need to listen to.
Good one. That's a good observation.
That's cool.
Yeah, hadn't that's a new one.
Mm,
I love new ones.
Yeah.
Making those connections like
Mhm.
that.
Yeah, it's always something new.
Cool one.
We got the heart, like the heart-mind coherence. Talking about Eric earlier, Eric would always talk about that with I think it's MDMA, gives you a very strong like heart-brain coherence that I think a lot of people are missing when you get like out of tune with your body. you think that like the brain needs to like control everything. You forget that your heart is like the real way to interact with your body.
Mm.
The heart doesn't like command; it just listens and
Yeah.
talks with it. Yeah.
Did you say coherence?
Mm-hmm.
Heart, mind, coherence?
That's what it was. Yeah.
Okay.
Or I guess heart, brain, probably.
Brain.
Like physical, yeah.
Mm-hmm. I like that word, coherence.
Mhm.
Coherence, yeah.
It's very scientifically correct.
Yeah, I think it's from Joe Dispenza.
Yeah.
It's like science, sciencey spirituality.
Yeah, the science spirituality. Joe Dispenza, How to Heal Your Body with Your Mind.
Mm-hmm.
He'll tell you all about it.
Yeah.
Oh, I've never heard of him.
Oh, really?
Apparently he's done it himself. He had a severe accident, car accident, and
Oh.
his bones were all broke up.
Like recently? Or-
No, when he was like in his mid-20s.
I see that right before.
Yeah,
That-
long
that-
time ago.
I was thinking it'd be cool if he.
He's an old man now.
Yeah. If like since his spiritual like awakening stuff, he like got some injury and healed it. But
Yeah, he did.
yeah.
Yeah, he said, I mean, it's all, you can document it in x-rays, and he says, well,
Mm-hmm.
there's this thing about the mind can heal the body,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm going to try it out. And he said, heal, body, heal, heal, bones heal, cells heal. He just went through this mantra. I'm not sure exactly what it is. Just all day long, he's like super focused, concentrated, like laser, like always when he was awake. And then he learned how to dream about healing. And it was like a couple months. He went back to the doctors and walked in, and they said, you can't be doing this. X-ray me. Wow, completely restored.
You're
All
not
his
allowed to heal that
bones and
fast.
nerves and blood cells and everything.
Mm.
It was a severe accident.
Yeah.
And so that's Joe Dispenza.
Yeah. Yeah, I've read a bit of his book. It's Becoming Supernatural. And it's yeah, he told a story about like a woman who had like terminal cancer and like her life was falling apart and stuff. And she like started doing I don't know what it is. I think there's a bunch of techniques and stuff that he talks about.
A bunch of techniques, mostly meditative sort of
Yeah.
stuff.
But yeah, it completely saved her. It's very cool.
Well, the power of the mind. I mean, we understand it's supernatural.
Mm-hmm.
We have a supernatural part of our beingness, demigods or whatever. And
I think
we
it's-
want to tap into that.
Yeah, and it's not just the mind, because it's more like, well, I don't know, I feel like mind, if you understand what the mind really is, it makes sense, but I feel like for people who don't know that much about it, I feel like you kind of have to say it's like about the spirit as well, and kind of like the energetic, like, I don't know, but like just like the kind of higher part of the human being that isn't thoughts and decisions. It's more just kind of like an energetic expression of our physical shape or something.
Supernatural.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of what my understanding of the word supernatural.
Mm.
It's not of nature. It's not of this planet. It's not of this realm. Outside of
It's a different type of nature, maybe. Yeah.
spirituality,
Mhm.
spirit, supernatural. I don't know.
How do you-
This is kind of esoteric. I was thinking, like, do you think the idea of like the energy body, like the chakras and everything, do you think that's like a natural, or like an earth nature sort of thing, or like a cosmos, like sky nature? I don't know. It's hard to say.
What do you think?
Where do you separate those? What, it
Or,
can be
yeah.
both.
Oh yeah, I guess yeah. But I don't know. This is maybe too. Yeah, I don't know.
I don't think I have enough background.
Yeah, I was thinking I don't know. I have enough background either to really say.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
How do you, I was gonna
That's
ask,
one. That's one for later. Yeah.
how do you witness animals, your pets or the shelter pets, healing themselves? Like, how do you? Because I feel like when you look at a cat and a dog, for example, like go about their day, you know, in some ways it feels like they sort of just do the same things. Like, oh, their ear is irritating, so they just scratch it a bunch, and maybe that helps. Like long term, maybe it doesn't. but it does feel like they have like an intuitive knowing of what they need. And I'm just curious, like what you see, and how they respond to injuries, or how they heal.
Well, they're not human, so they don't have our neurotic problems.
Yeah. That's interesting. That's something I'm gonna try and be more aware of, because it's not something I've been super aware of. I think there are like, you know, examples where animals will have like injuries and they'll know they need to rest. And of course they'll be like physically limited because of the pain and limited. And they'll just take care of themselves in that way. Yeah, there are a lot of cases of animals when they're sick, they'll like hide. Or sometimes when like they're near like the end of their life, like people will know because they'll be like hiding a lot. And I don't exactly know what that means. It's not something I've given much thought to, but it'd be
Or if they're
interesting.
injured, like you said, or sick, and they need just to not move,
Yeah.
and let the body regenerate
Yeah.
organically.
The thing I noticed is like cats and dogs will stretch, and I feel like that's
Oh, yeah.
something that people do less than they probably should.
That's
Or,
a
like,
good
less than they
idea,
benefit from
actually.
it.
Thank you for reminding me.
Yeah,
Oh
they
gosh,
do it
I
every
feel so
time they
good.
wake up from a nap, or
Right.
they just listen.
Yeah.
Yeah, stretching feels so good.
Yeah,
All
we're
right,
stretching.
everybody, stretch. Get out of your chair, or
Can we
stretch in
do
your
a
chair.
little drum?
Oh yeah, you haven't done a drum sound bath
We're,
yet.
I know, we're just kind of getting started on some of the meaty conversations. I'm like, oh, let's hold off for a little longer, It's starting to get juicy.
Yeah, we should have started with the drum.
But yeah,
I feel like that would interrupt things too much.
I wanted to. Yeah, I didn't. Yeah, me too. Yeah, let's do a few minutes, shall we?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess we're gonna move into a sound bath. And so grab your blanket if you got one. God, I got some in the car. I should have brought them in. Yeah, move away, push away from your desk or set your tools down. Nothing to do, nowhere to go, no one to be. Here resting, receiving, allowing. Floating downstream. Are you my animal guide, my spirit guide? Do you have a gift for me? Gently imagine some animals in nature. Are you my animal guide? Do you have a gift for me? three-legged nation and our feathered birds. The tree people, the sky people. Our relations with the fins and the fish. The insect families. Star people. All our relations. All our relations in the waters, the oceans and lakes, rivers. Are you my animal guide? Do you have a gift? downstream now, returning on your path. Long deep breaths when you're ready. Welcome back. Legends from the Painted Cave. People who enter the studio here at WCOM FM LP Carborough Chapel Hill are all legends in the studio cave. In the mythological, in the mythology of our own imagination. Is this all imagined? A simulation? Is this a group hallucination? This whole reality that we see out here with our eyes and feel in this body?
Could be.
What is the nature of reality? There's no general consensus. There's a lot of different opinions. Do you guys get on a little visual journey at all?
I think I saw a snake at some point.
Slithering along in the desert,
It was in
The
the,
water?
air. It was in the air.
in the air?
Yeah.
Vertical or horizontal?
Sort of vertical. It's like the face was kind of below the table.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was inverted on the staff of health. There's the two snakes and they're twined upwards.
Mm.
The caduceus.
Like a what?
I think it's called a caduceus.
Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Caduceus, yeah.
Yeah. I
But
was-
yours was facing down.
It was facing like towards me, but sort of curling. Yeah. Yeah. Down. Yeah.
But facing you, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Hi. My name is, I have a gift for you.
Yeah.
How was yours, Kat?
I think I was just being very in my body. I think.
Were you stretching?
Yes.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, felt really good. I think Ben said something about the cold and how it, or maybe it was Louis, about how it just makes you feel very like present, very aware of your body. So that's what I was feeling.
Louis,
Yeah.
were you sitting on top of an ice cap mountain
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and being warm and
a
melting it?
bucket of ice water. Yeah. Yeah, I was just relaxing, meditating.
Mm.
Meditate. Medi.
Mediate. Yeah.
Mm.
Medical. Medicine. Meditate.
Meta. Yeah, meta, it means loving kindness, right?
Yeah, metta.
But,
And then you said, meta bhavana, like bhavana is like the cultivation of, I think.
Yeah. Oh, I get to do the thing that that
Medabhavana.
people, yeah, it bothers me when people always correct other people's pronunciation, but I have to do it. It's a bhavana. It's like the-
No, I appreciate it.
Bhavana.
Metta bhavana.
Yeah.
Well, that's good because, we go tell someone else and then they get it wrong and pretty soon
Right.
it's not even the word anymore.
Yeah, that's all it is.
So we have a dictionary.
It's a necessary evil. But
Yeah.
Necessary evil.
No,
not really.
Yeah, and I think I've mainly only
What?
read that
Not
word.
really.
Yeah.
Evil is necessary.
Right. But yeah, it's
Or
hard to
wouldn't
get the-
exist.
Hard to get the pronunciation from just
Yeah.
reading.
Yeah.
But there's, I think once you learn a bit of the like the way they write the languages, you can kind of get a sense.
How to spell
Or like how the
or
phonetic,
sound out or
Yeah, like the phonetic writing. Yeah.
sound scientific.
Yeah.
Could be intuitive though, I suppose.
Yeah, you get used to it. And they do the. I did a bunch of chanting at the monastery, so I got a decent intuition. We would just like hearing the monks like say the words.
Oh, is that right? I didn't realize that. At the last one or all of them?
They all do chanting. Yeah.
Okay. You probably told me that. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
Chanting. Yeah, that at the party last night, because it was the Living Arts crowd, did the dance. They got the harmonium out right away,
Oh, nice.
and Bagel was playing guitar, and I was really surprised. I mean, it just turned into this whole Living Arts collective thing. I didn't realize that it was going to be like that, but yeah, it was great. Found a back room to play the drum in for a bunch of people, or streaming in and out of there. That was really cool.
Yeah.
Had a little meditation room at Megan and Charlie's place, and yeah. Charlie lit some Palo Santo, and we need to start doing that at the festivals, because some people are activated with their sense of smell that activate their journey. I've noticed that that's happened before. People have told me, yeah, well, when I smelled that, I launched into a full revelatory visionary experience. And I forget that. So you guys remind me when we're at the 10. And,
Yeah, that's a common
li-
thing.
lights them up, and Charlie did last night
Yeah.
in the room, and it reminded me.
Yeah. You can just stick an incense stick into the ground.
Hmm. Or walk around.
Yeah.
Hannah did that a couple of times, and that's when I realized, wow, some people are really, yeah, it really helps them. So help me remember.
Okay.
Thank you. What else? Where were we? Where did we leave off? Shamanic journeying. We have a few minutes left. So any announcements or goings on, or, something that you feel is important you want to say real quick before we get off the air? When you're gonna die, so we can send out, invitations and stuff.
Put it on the calendar.
Something
Way.
important,
Wish I knew.
Yeah, how would that change your life if you knew?
Yeah.
A lot. I think quite drastically.
We actually, I think we asked that the other night. I was like,
I'm
if
gonna
we
die
knew this was
tomorrow.
our last night on this earth and together, would that change what we do? And I realized, like, it might not change what I do so much as how I do it.
Yeah.
Like, might still just
Is
like.
there a difference?
I think so.
Definitely.
And you would cherish it a little bit more.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Just like.
Oh, quality.
Yeah.
Yeah. Being. It's interesting because we.
I
don't
will
know when
quit
our
my
death is.
job and stop talking to that person, and
I don't know. I on the one hand, there's a feeling that, like, oh, there's gonna be a radical shift, but on the other hand, it's like maybe it would be more subtle. It would just be more slow
maybe.
and like just more
More appreciation.
more gratitude.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to live life. I think.
Totally.
You're not doing something that you would suddenly stop if you could, but you're just maybe living in a way that you can't always remember to appreciate things fully, but you always know that, like, if it came down to it, you would realize that what you're doing is good.
Maybe
No
that's
regrets.
That's our announcement.
That's
Yeah,
our
yeah.
announcements.
Yeah.
Cherish the moments.
I go through that all the time. My brain is like talking, and I don't want my brain to be talking. I want it to be quiet. And it just keeps talking. I'm like, ugh. I say, well, okay, I'll breathe and Brain keeps talking. I'm like, stop talking. Gosh. And it's like, make me.
Yeah.
I'm like, I can't make you right now. And yeah, I don't know why I went off on that rant. Had some sort of meaning, but
we always have something to say. There's words to be spoken.
Stop talking, brain. But you know, I don't think animals and dogs have that problem. They just, you know, they'll go to sleep or play or
Scratch you.
eat or scratch you, depending on the veracity.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah.
They're not, that's our human stuff, our neurosis, our chattering mind, our insecurities, you know, that they're constantly like in our face. Where's my mask? I'm courageous and confident and can tolerate and be happy with everything if I'm wearing my mask. Which mask do I want to put on today? Let me open my cabinet. I'm feeling like I have weak boundaries. Okay, it's my shield mask.
Humor mask.
Humor
Nice
mask.
person mask.
Boy, that's one of the best ones, right?
I met with this art therapist recently who used to sort of have a practice in Carborough, and was talking about one of these activities or prompts that you can give people, where you have like a paper mache mask that's, you know, white, and you have two sides of it. There's the outside and the inside, and so on the outside you're invited to paint or draw how you present yourself to the outside world, either in general or on this particular day occasion. And then on the inside, how you really are right now or in general.
The tears of a clown.
Yeah, it's interesting what people might come up with.
Yeah.
And
Duality.
Yeah, it's a good introspection.
Very cool.
Being honest with yourself. Yeah.
It's the mirror. Well, thank you everybody for being here. Kat,
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
having us.
Ben,
thank you.
we could talk for so much longer.
Oh yeah.
We barely touched the tip of the human experience. Forget about it. That's what my mom would say all the time. Say, Mom, I'm really bothered, blah, blah. She says, forget about it, son. Just don't think about it. Just forget about it. That was she was the happiest person I ever met.
Right.
Nothing bothered her.
How do they do it? They're all so happy.
I don't know. It frustrated me terribly. Legends from the Painted Cave. Love you guys.
This is easy, and the training is free.
Darn, that was close. I forgot to push the button.
WCOMFM.org website. Click on the Get Involved tab,
It's like the
and you're
ads.
on your way to your own radio show.
We have a bunch of stuff for the station.
Oh gosh! I've been worked 5 days in a row on the stair job.
Oh wow.
Oh, my body's saying, I hate you. You're a horrible person.
That's where it's coming from. I was wondering where the pain was.
Huh?
I was wondering where your pain was coming from.
Oh!
You're speaking for pain a bit.
Oh, the
You
pain!
alright? Yeah.
Oh, the pain! Help me! I need some drugs! I need a lover! I need something! Get me out of this pain!
Yeah.
Where's your pain at? Oh, man, it's right here.
You got it.
Oh, I don't feel my back anymore. My foot's killing me. Well, I healed your back, didn't I?
That's-
I'll do it.